Another year in Bristol, Connecticut. Another year to spend time with you because we don't spend enough time together. But it's great to be able to reflect and think about the journey for you in the PLL, where you are, where it's going. If you were able to take a deep breath, which you don't much, and reflect on the last 7 years of this journey, how would you describe it?
We said this recently in a company all hands that when we launched in October of 2018, if Mike and I could have guaranteed our investors and our operating team and the players that we'd be around healthy and happy in 2025, we'd be thrilled.
Yeah, take it and run.
Yeah, so like 7 years in, I can't believe it. I often think about pro lacrosse in college years because for so long growing up, we would talk about those 4 years in college, how meaningful they are and how much you grow and improve and how hard you fight for a championship. And then cut to my pro career, which was 14 years. You know, Kyle Harrison played, I think, 16.
Yeah.
And there are many guys, one who just retired, an icon in our game, Matt Cavanaugh, played for 10.
Yeah.
So you play double, sometimes triple the amount of college years. And for us now, our 7th season will soon have been double college years into 8 when we sit here this time next year. And that means rounds of recruits. That means casual fans being introduced to the PLL for the first time. And hopefully what we care about the most is that we're entertaining and providing a lot of value for lacrosse players and fans.
Yeah. I've been watching lacrosse from a professional perspective since its inception.
Yep.
2024, I think, unequivocally, pre-draft and how it flushed out on the field, the greatest senior college class to enter professional lacrosse ever.
Yeah.
Why was that group so critical for this league's growth?
Well, you and I talk about it all the time. It is the commitment of a professional lacrosse player to go full-time. And I think what we had in the 2024 class is not only a caliber of player that we hadn't seen in a decade, but also a crop of players who were going to go full-time in lacrosse. There's Brennan O'Neill or Pat Cavanaugh or Liam Entman and studs. And I often think about our conversations because I did that 17 years ago, and you did that.
Yeah.
Tell me about I remember your bet you made on yourself and what Brian told you. And I think I'm often having conversations with the next generation of lacrosse players around going full-time. You did the same thing.
I did. I was a school teacher. I was a high school lacrosse coach. I was teaching elementary school, and I was coaching high school lacrosse. And I got a phone call to do one college game. I had no idea that I wanted to be a broadcaster. But I said, heck, why not?
Yeah.
2004, Army against Navy, Mikey Stadium. I go in, I'm absolutely clueless, right? No clue. Didn't prep, didn't have any idea about on-camera stuff and dealing with a partner. I was flying blind. As the game went on, I said to myself, this is the closest thing in terms of being involved in the sport of lacrosse without playing that my juices are absolutely flowing. So for the next couple of years, I two-timed it. I was coaching still. I was teaching. I was trying to do some games because the following year I went on an audition and I got the full season from CSTV. And I'll never forget, normally your older brother gives you the advice. My younger brother, Brian, said to me, you're never going to be as good as you can be. And I see the joy in what you're doing if you take a bet on yourself. And you're going to have to stop teaching. You're going to have to stop coaching high school lacrosse if you want this to be your life.
Yeah.
And my father was a school teacher in the South Bronx for 32 years. When I told him I was leaving after 10 years teaching, he almost had a heart attack because the first thing on his mind was, pension, you're leaving a pension. How could you do it? So I said, screw it. I had 2 kids. I was married. I had a mortgage. I bet on myself.
You follow what you love to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
No financial commitment downstream, but you were like, if I care about something as much as this, if I pursue it, then that gives me my best shot at becoming who you are today. And it's mirroring. I think, look, what we've tried to build with the PLL is financial freedom such that guys can make those decisions in a way that you and I couldn't. Increased wages, healthcare year-round, stock options in the league. We bring them endorsement opportunities. We give them PLL play opportunities, which is instructional, sort of, whether it's camp or overnight events. So we're really supportive. And you have to take that bet on yourself.
Yes. If you don't, no one else will, right? The PLL really never has an off season, right? If you have the summer season into the early weeks of September, and then we start pushing towards the new year in Champ Series, which has become an entity of itself. Why is Champ Series such a critical part to this whole piece of the PLL?
Well, when we were taking part in the pitch process of getting lacrosse back into the Olympics, and we're collaborating with World Lacrosse and one of our board members like Joe Tsai around the structure of the game and how we could get it in through Casey Wasserman and his team at LA28 and ultimately through the IOC, and that was where Sixes was born. Part of that bid process was a commitment from the league, both financially and from an annual standpoint, to get the best players playing that format.
Yep.
Because what Casey and the IOC didn't want to see is this new format of lacrosse that wasn't played in until the Olympics every 4 years. So we made a commitment. That was number one. Number two is when we saw the game, we were like, holy shit, this is really good.
Buckle up.
Yeah, I mean, so if we can be honest, and we learn this as executives in sports, we learn this as media personalities. You know, your and my job often is to articulate what lacrosse is to casuals.
Sure.
And the challenge for me and you over time has been things that come innate to us, like tracking a ball on the field.
Sure.
Knowing how a guy shoots overhand, sidearm, underhand. You know, low angle shots versus pick and rolls versus 3-man games and 2-man games. That comes natural to us. So a great communicator like yourself or Quint or Cotter, you know, you guys are able to articulate that in simple form to the viewers on screen. However, we still play a game where you have guys with 6-foot poles and guys with 4-foot sticks. We have a game where you have 3 defenders who wait at midfield with 3 attackmen who can't step over the midfield, arbitrarily. We have a game where if a shot misses the net, everyone bolts for the end line and takes a dive at a ball that's 60 yards away. We have a game where substitutions happen on the fly, pretty much every possession. Yeah. So for someone who doesn't know lacrosse, they can't follow the ball, they don't understand substitutions, they don't understand possession very well, and they don't understand offsides. What you get with Championship Series and Olympic lacrosse, and this is a long-winded way of explaining, is I think the simplest, most understandable version of the game.
Yeah.
It's just like basketball. It's possession, back and forth. Guys stay on the field both ways, play offense, defense. There is substitutions on the fly. But after a goal, it goes in the other direction. If you miss a shot, the other team gets it, last to touch it. And I think that is, by our estimation and by the estimation of the rest of the world who voted on getting lacrosse back in the Olympics, is they think those rules position lacrosse in the best way to expand. And so our view is to continue to help expand lacrosse and grow this form and property in the Championship Series, and then also keep our 10-on-10 season, because that's what everyone in America knows and loves, and that's what I love.
When I think of the PLL as a massive entity, side by side, I think of like the Champ Series, and I think of the WLL. The WLL is now new, and it's its first year.
Yeah.
What excites you the most about the future of women's pro lacrosse?
Well, I love the game.
Yeah.
And the format unique of Championship Series and Sixes lacrosse that we had discussed, what also helped to get in that I left out in the prior answer is that the men's and women's game is the same.
Yep.
In outdoor lacrosse, there are different numbers of players on the field and different rules altogether. Same rules in sixes. So the product we knew was going to be fantastic, and we saw in our first Championship Series with the WLL, it blew the doors off. Everyone was so thrilled. So that's number one. Number two is you have stars like Charlotte North. These are generational stars that when you look at emerging leagues or even existing properties, whether it's Tiger Woods in golf or MJ on the heels of Magic and Bird in the NBA, or if you have Lewis Hamilton in F1 or Caitlin Clark in the WNBA, when you have these stars like Charlotte North, there's a real opportunity to catapult yourself into the zeitgeist of sports. And then number three is it's just a really strong commercial property. So before we even took our first face-off, we had Maybelline New York come in and entitle the league. Remember, even with the PLL, we didn't have a title partner until year 2 with Ticketmaster.
Wow.
So people get it, they understand it, they want to be a part of it. It views well, it's attended well. The women are fantastic players and great personalities, so we want to only expand that property.
How do you expand that?
Well, there's the championship series that we're looking to grow in the next year or the next couple of years. I kind of view standalone properties, whether it is Augusta and the Masters is 4 days and a Pro-Am. The U.S. Open's 2 weeks. March Madness is about 3.5 weeks, 3 weeks and some change. So for me, the championship series in its full growth is probably a 2 to 2.5 week tournament. The WLL will grow within that. The other way is doing a summer or spring season. So we have our 4 teams. We have the ability to expand another 4 into the future so long that the league and the attendance and the viewership can sustain that growth. And that will match our PLL offering. And then when I talk about a summer or spring, that would be a tour-based model under our existing fold. If we look even further out, what we're building is an ecosystem, to your point, of PLL, Champ Series, WLL, then things like PLL Play and Street Lacrosse and Lacrosse in the Olympics. And, you know, there might be other tournaments at the youth level to college level to international level that we get into. But ultimately, if and when the PLL and WLL has ownership, wouldn't it be nice to be able to package both New York teams to an owner, both Boston teams to an owner, both California teams to an owner? So it's a methodical, very meticulous approach that we have, and it's working so far.
I feel like you and your team always have like new initiatives. Something is on your minds to do something different. I Got the Ball. That's a new, really exciting initiative. Describe it to me.
Well, every year I get super excited about how we're going to present the season to our audience and new audiences. And you call that the season-long campaign. And 2 companies that I'm obsessed with and have studied the way that they advertise over the last several decades is Apple and Nike. And what they do really well, as the founders would consider themselves marketing companies, is they express feelings. What you feel when you have an iPhone or a MacBook, what you feel when you're putting on Nike shoes. And we went a route this year to express a feeling that a lacrosse player has that can even stretch beyond just lacrosse, what a feeling a clutch player has in a sport with the game on the line on the biggest stage. So you have that expression, I got the ball, and then you have a personal connection where a former teammate of mine in high school, Billy Looney, who served in the Navy and is now a Navy SEAL, we would always have this thing, and I think this is where a lot of creative ideas spawn, is through our own personal experiences, where he would look at me before every line drill and say, hey, Paul, you got the ball? I'd say, I got the ball. And then even he'll text me today, say, you got the ball? I got the ball. And we have these things. More importantly, though, lacrosse, I estimate, is the only sport where every position articulates their job in the reference point of a ball. Blaze Reardon, ball stop left, ball stop right. Jack Roulette, I got the ball, ball. Trevor Baptiste facing off, ball release. Matt Rambo in a huddle in season 1, game on the line, down a goal. Jim Stagnita, you get the ball. And Rambo said, hell yeah, give me the ball. So this type of feeling and experience we wanted to bring to life as a way to like catapult us into the season, get people fired up, and not sort of roll out a banner that says the biggest and best season ever. So it feels a little bit of a gamble, but ultimately I think with the spot that we created and the extensions that will come from it, people will feel excited about watching.
The extension piece is what got me, because when I hear I got the ball, that's a confidence type thing, right? Like some little kid can own that in his backyard, right? That could be living in the back of his or her mind, right? I got the ball.
Yeah, and it comes up. Now that you've heard it, you go in and Google. I mean, shocking that Nike hasn't done this yet. But if you go in and Google sort of clutch players, they all have these reference points. Lionel Messi said, just give me the ball. Kobe Bryant said, everyone wanted me to pass the ball until we were under 20 seconds left in the game. And then you look at March Madness. I think it was a Sweet 16 or one of the primary rounds toward the end. Maryland, down a point, ball on their end. Coach comes onto the sideline. Who wants the ball?
The young guy.
Derek Queen turns around. Give me the motherfucking ball. This is what he said. He goes right to the hoop and scores. Like that type of gravitas, that presence, that willingness to bet on yourself and being willing to take the shot when the game's on the line, knowing that you're going to miss more times than you make. Michael Jordan would always say that. You got to put yourself in that position.
The PLL always takes me to great places nationally, but there's always a new spot on the tour agenda. Where are we headed this year?
Well, I'm really excited about 2 weekends that are new on the schedule. One is a throwback to our inaugural season. We're going back to Chicago, like right in the center of the Midwest. And then we're also doing Kansas City for All-Star Game with Chris and Angie Long, owners of the NWSL team in that new stadium. Starting with Chicago, we have a big street lacrosse event we're going to be doing there. We have our Hall of Fame ceremony there, and we also have a throwback weekend. So there's going to be a ton of activation and energy in Chicago. Playing at Northwestern, so home of the greatest, arguably one of the greatest women's lacrosse programs in history, next to Maryland, next to Carolina, next to Hopkins. And then if you look at Kansas City, we're hosting our PLL All-Star Game and our WLL All-Star Game there. And they will be playing on July 4th, Friday night. We'll have fireworks afterward. We'll have an All-Star Game celebration event, and then we'll roll into Saturday, PLL All-Star Game. Both games will have cable distribution with ESPN, and man, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, there's so much on the plate of the PLL, and from a lacrosse enthusiast standpoint, it's exciting, right? It's thrilling, but there's a business side to all this. How is the health from a business perspective for professional lacrosse?
It's good. The health of the league is steady. It climbs year over year. I think why, or maybe I would say what makes us good operators is we're impatient, we're hungry. And we want to build what the UFC and MLS did in half the amount of time. And MLS sells out stadiums, and UFC is probably going to get $1 billion a year for their next rights renewal. So they've done some great things. Don Garber and Dana White, extraordinary operators. We want the PLL to be on that stage. And that's a whole different mindset than I think our predecessors. And there are some growing pains to get there. One of which is, our players are only required for 2 practices a week and playing on game weekends, and we play in the summer and we leak into September. Lacrosse season's in the spring. So as we continue to grow, we look at where lacrosse fans engage the most, where they're playing the most, and where the algorithms in modern media are generating the most conversation. That's during the spring. We've been working with NLL and Brett Frood for a while. And that's one of the reasons why when we launched the PLO, it was in June, so that players could do both. There's a few pieces that are moving right now in the matrix, and I think what helps lacrosse get to the place of where we want to that I had described is good partnerships and more risk-taking, bigger bets, and expansion. So I think what you'll see over the next few years as we look at the goalposts of being LA 2028 in the Olympics is how can we get our players living in market, playing and practicing every day of the week, and how can we lean more into the spring, lean less into the fall?
Hedge this bet. Paul Rabil and Paul Carcaterra have been in cahoots for a while, right? We've always had conversations around the PLL for the last 7 years. In 7 years, year 14, we're having this conversation.
I would say that we have at least 12 teams with owners playing in markets that they either own the stadium or are a partner in the rights to a stadium. We're playing in the spring, and players have 3 to potentially 4 times the wages of what they're doing now. There's a partnership with the NLL, and games are sold out, and millions of people are watching.
Forgot one thing. Paul Carcaterra is grandfathered into this discussion every year.
There you go. So let's bookmark that then. And hey, man, whatever, you can't get anything that you don't put out into the ether.
Yeah.
So that would be an amazing outcome. And I think a disciplined one, too, in a lot of ways. I didn't come around and say, we have 32 teams. No. It's hard to get here. Man, you and I have been slogging this thing for 17 years. MLL, NLL, college lacrosse, youth lacrosse. I mean, one of the things we didn't talk about is the challenge of summer ball.
Yeah.
Right? Our core fan, the kid who wants to watch the PLL and one day play in it, is also playing when we're playing. It's a lot of stuff we have to figure out. And that's an exciting challenge. And frankly, we wouldn't be here if it were easy, because people before us would have figured it out. And I scratch my head and I'm like, I said this morning on Get Up, Greeny goes, tell us why a casual sports fan should watch lacrosse. I go, shit, man, there's that question again. I can either be long in the tooth or I can be precise. And the long in the tooth version is, this is the oldest sport in North America. I think it's America's first game. And if you like American history, and if you like to know where we came from, there's one angle in. It's the fastest game on 2 feet. Mm-hmm. So if you like speed, that's another angle in. If you like toughness and contact and you watch the NFL, we got that. If you like artisanship and skill like you see in hockey and baseball and basketball, we got that too. We've heard that package before. The reality, though, underneath it is casual sports fans right now just watch the NFL draft. Yep. They're watching the NBA and the NHL playoffs. They have the MLS kicking off. They have the NWSL kicking off. They have the WNBA starting. They have the PLL. We're wrapping up the NLL season. There's so much optionality. Yes. Can someone really be asked to watch a new team in a new league? It's hard. So you got to have a compelling product. You have to have great partners. You have to have great voices like yourself. You have to work your ass off every day to find reasons, whether it's through a campaign like I Got the Ball, or it's giving someone your backup stick to try for the first time to get them into the game and ultimately watch the PLL.
I could tell you one thing's for sure. You will keep pushing, and I will keep pushing.
My man, appreciate you.